It's driving me crazy. So that's pretty cool so far. Very frustrated. Take 110. That's cool. Expensive as fuck. Maybe that's as good as it's gonna get. Oh my god, that's a lot of plastic. What am I gonna do with all of this? Hey guys, welcome back to Battle Games Terrain Studio. My name's Hamish Meadows. In this video, I'm going to be doing a review for the Ruined City of Osgiliath Terrain Kit by Games Workshop, as well as showing you some of the buildings I've already made, and we're going to build one together, as well as giving you my honest review of what I think about this terrain kit. If you're new around here, make sure to smash that subscribe button so you can keep getting alerts on videos just like this. Let's get building. So in this box, you're going to receive 6 of the Gondor ruins, 3 of the Gondor mansions, and 1 of the Gondor tower. Once I've cut all of it out of the sprues, I was left with all of these pieces. It's a lot of plastic. So this is all of the pieces I have cut and put in individual little containers. Keep in mind that I have already built one big structure that I'll show you guys soon, and this is all the stuff that I have left after that. So all the main structural pieces are these square pieces like this. So you've got your little like arrow slit sort of windows. You've got your regular generic piece of wall. Then you've got some archways, some single archways. And they all kind of just clip together super nicely. If you've never used these kits before, they come with these little joiners. So you can get them like this, join them together. And then when you do the corners, they've got these other little corner pieces. Everything is all incredibly well thought out and designed to be as versatile as possible. Then you've got these awesome floor tiles, which I absolutely love. The textures on this are so cool. I'm sure you've seen heaps of the ruined kits. They've got all these destroyed floor pieces. Then they've got heaps of modular versions of that where you can build your own destroyed floor sections. So they're really, really cool. So you also get an instruction manual for each one of the kits. So you get the mansion instructions, the ruins, and the tower. The one thing that I really don't like about this is that you only get the instructions on how to build one mansion. So then when it comes to trying to be a bit more creative and you want to build like a destroyed, half-assembled mansion, it doesn't really give you a lot of pointers on how the different kits combine together, which can get really frustrating. So they're pretty good here. They give you a full rundown of all the pieces, all the product codes. It all makes perfect sense. The only downside, like I said, is that they only show you the one building. It would be really cool if they made some videos on how to be a bit more creative, which is, I guess, what has led me to making this video. When we go into the ruin sections, we have all these really cool destroyed wall pieces. Essentially, any piece that you want exists somewhere. Like, they've built everything that you could possibly need, which is really cool. So my favorite piece from this whole set is probably these Gondor archways. I think they look so, so neat. Really cool for playability as well, because you can really get the models in and under all these little balconies. I've already used about 50% of the arches that I have, so that's going to be a big problem. I need heaps more of these. When it comes to roofing, you have these corner pieces that sit above the walls, and they're going to hold the roofs. They have little slits in the side here in your roof pieces. Designed so well, it just slots straight in. It's beautiful. But then the problem I'm having is when you're trying to join constructed roof to damaged roof, it gets quite tricky with all the different options you get. They have like broken half section pieces of roof like this, so you can connect these together sort of like this, and you can put a broken piece along and then make a guttering. Really, really cool stuff. Another one of my favorite pieces of this whole kit is these railings. So they've got awesome detail here, and then you've got these little stone pillars that you attach them to like this. They also give you a destroyed version, so you can have like a broken down veranda. I definitely will use these very quickly. So here we have the building that I have already finished. I've gone for a pretty straightforward 2-story design. I really, really love this big bridge sort of section here, so I really wanted to add that in. And then for the other half of the building, I thought I would try out the destroyed sections and see what I could come up with. So I've had to break some of the molds there to create that sort of destroyed roof effect. And then with this roof section, a few of these pieces don't actually clip. Like this broken piece is actually designed to sit the other way. But, you know, for destroyed buildings, you can kind of just glue stuff on anywhere and it looks pretty cool. The whole concept for this building was trying to just be a pretty standard Gondorian house with a big wraparound veranda with a little roof section in the middle, and then I have this awesome bridge that connects to is going to be another building, and that's going to be the building I build next. So with these modular ruin sets, I've decided to glue most of this building together, except the upper level of flooring I've left unattached. So these is two different pieces, and all of this upper level is actually glued. Some people don't glue the roofs on for playability so they can get in there, but I really figured because this whole building is completely blown apart, it's really not that hard to, you know, put a model in here like that. Absolutely awesome. And then I have this foundation, so it's just like the walls. The reason this is cool is because this can be integrated into a board. So my current plan is to glue this down, and then this whole top section can be removed for storage and whatever. And then you bring it out, clip it on for your game, and then off you go. And there we have it. So it's pretty easy to remove and reattach. Clips in really nicely. Just have to make sure when you're building these, you build them on a really flat surface, because I did have a few issues with this foundation not being completely level. So what I'm kind of thinking for this next piece is, because these bottom half of the bridge arches are connected to the base plate, the part that will be integrated into the board, I need to be really careful how I connect this to another structure, because obviously that's going to be a very fragile piece. And I don't want to have this and this all just connected by these two little walkways. I want it to maybe clip in sideways and not actually glue along here. So you have to really think out how you want to build them before you start gluing. Otherwise you can make a big mistake and then you're trying to break these models apart. And believe me, it's really hard to break them apart once you've glued them. So I've already base coated this one. I got a little bit ahead of myself and I wanted to start the painting process. Then I realized I should stop until I built all the buildings, just to make sure they are all matching and I get the color scheme correct, because I don't want to paint one and then change my color scheme and then, you know, so I think I'm going to stop it there and I'm going to paint them all once I've constructed everything. Okay, so without going into too much detail, I'm going to try to build a second building that's going to attach to this one that I've already built, and it's going to be a freestanding building. I'm only going to build the upper level today, just to try to show you guys a little bit about the pieces that I can use, the options, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how they all connect to each other. I don't want to give too much away about the board that this is going to be on, but essentially I'm building a boat shed. So I'm going to start off with this nice big arch piece. Absolutely love these arches. That's going to sit up this end, and then I'm building the upper level on top of that. So I like to try to think of the entire process before you start gluing. Definitely lay out all the pieces, try to figure it out before you just go for it, or you're probably going to make a mistake because there's a lot of different pieces. So to join two of these basic wall pieces, you get these little connection segments that are kind of like these long skinny ones, and that joins these two pieces together. So you clip them over the joins like that, and there you go. So you glue it like that, and then you do one on the inside as well. Now I will crack on and get these other pieces together. Kind of thinking I want it to be 3 by 2. Maybe if I added an extra length there. Now I've just got to think of how the roof would work. That's all glued. And now I'm going to have a look at building the roof, just because I want to make sure it can clip in before everything dries so I can sit it in place, make sure everything locks in. Alrighty, so now I'm kind of just playing around with the options I have for roofing. Now this is one of the biggest complaints I have with this set, is they've given you about 20 different options of broken roof sections, but there isn't a single instruction manual on how to assemble them. So they show you how to build the regular roof sections in here, and it's all pretty straightforward, but then as soon as you start playing with the broken pieces of roof, it just gets more complicated and it's driving me crazy. So I've got 2 flat roof panels, join them together with this top roof capping section, and then you can clip on, which is really awesome. I love these little destroyed tile sections. For this end of the building, I was trying to play around with something with a different angle, so it's not just like a straight roof cut, and I want it to look destroyed. I'm just kind of stuck on how these pieces actually work. So that's pretty cool so far. I just have to decide on this side because I don't want to do too much mucking around with cutting pieces or anything. So you can put these broken pieces of tile straight into this edge piece. It does work, but then when you look from side on, you can see these little gaps up in here, and it's not ideal. You can try to cover that with a few little wrecked pieces. I might just have to settle for that, honestly, and then just maybe fill some of those gaps with green stuff. They do give you plenty of options of little rubble piles, like little bits of broken brick and things, and that's awesome to place along these top bits of stone. I just don't feel like they've given you enough instructions on the combinations, which has left me personally very frustrated, specifically just the roofs. The rest of it's pretty easy because it's all square and it blocks together nice, but the roof sections are nuts. Well, I might be able to commit to something like this. So that looks really cool. My main problem now is trying to fill these little gaps here. Surely there has to be a piece that's designed for it. Oh yeah, that's cool. So that clips there. I think they've given enough of these little pieces that are kind of crumbling to make it look realistic, because I'm not a big fan of just having the tiles end like that. It doesn't really look that realistic, but when it has the wood beams all cracked, that looks great. But I'm really running out of those pieces. What to do? So I figured out one of the mysteries of this roofing section, which was kind of in the instructions. So there's 3 pieces here that all connect together, the middle piece, and then this, where you can create a completed panel, or almost a completed panel, just without these little corner sections, which is great. And that solved the mystery of how to fill in these little squares here. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but this is very complicated. And then that's looking pretty good, pretty destroyed. I just need to figure out how to make these shingles look a little bit more broken. And they've given you a few options. I think there's only 2 or 3 pieces, and I have run out. Wow. I've only got 1 destroyed roof and I'm already out of most of these pieces. So that's just great. So you've got this little piece, looks pretty sweet, and it'll only connect in a few spots. Now I found out that the easiest way to figure this out is to look underneath the roof, and you'll see these little beams and you have to find where they actually line up. They also give you this little triangle wedge piece, and that's to kind of fill in bottom sections, or it actually clips really nicely in the middle here like this. Alrighty, so I think I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out. On this side, I've just done the flat panels with some broken edging and then a broken beam going across the top. And then on this side here, I've done a triangular piece. I can fill this gap, but what I'm actually thinking of doing is waiting till the end. And if I have any spare pieces of roofing, I might cut up a few little corner pieces and kind of lean them up in this gap, something like this. I can also get a few little planks of balsa wood and have them sticking out too and really define that timber a bit better. And then using some of these rubble pieces, I've covered up the top capping there. Again, you don't have to glue these in. Like, you could have the same size roofs for different buildings and then have them replaceable, so you can have destroyed ones for specific types of games. And then on this side, I've tried a little different. I've stuck a little triangle piece in here, and then I've attached a broken tile piece onto that. And that just gives it a little bit more visual interest. And then we have it. That is a very generic foundation of a building. So then what I'm thinking is this will attach to this level, and then I'm going to build another level underneath this. I just love having these bridges on the upper stories connecting 2 buildings. There's not many terrain options that let you build bridges between 2 separate buildings. They also provide these really cool floor tiles like this with removable pieces. So this one's already glued together as the foundation for this building. And I love the fact that you can take out these tiles so you can have it destroyable, obviously. Essentially, that's how it's gonna look. So very, very cool. Okay, so I have finished this section now of this destroyed building. Obviously, I've just done the very top layer just to kind of show you guys a few of the options and a little bit about what you get in this box and how these pieces work. I'm not going to go crazy because I can't give too much away about what I'm actually building here. The whole concept was to make this into a boat shed. So I haven't shown you guys too much about that, but I'm going to use this big archway here. I'm going to have that underneath a veranda out there, and then I'm going to have another level underneath that I'm going to put wooden ramps where you drag out your little raft, and then I can have like a storage shed underneath, kind of make it that industrial sort of area. That's all I'm going to tell you guys. That's as far as it's going to go. There's going to be water, there's going to be boats, and it's going to be in Gondor. So you guys can figure the rest out yourself. So with that out of the way, I'm going to now talk about the pros and cons. Starting with the pros, the customization and the options are the #1 pro for this kit. you get roughly 100 different pieces, which is incredible. And then each piece, they give you a huge variety of options, which means no one's going to have the same building twice. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are going to build the standard Gondor mansion on there. I mean, it's very easy, but there's just so many options. It's super, super cool. Pretty much your imagination is the limit. That leads me to my first con, and that is lack of instructions. So they only really give you the instructions for the mansion and 2 different types of ruins. But what I would have really liked to see is a little bit more in terms of the destroyed section. Everyone is obviously going to try to build Osgiliath style terrain, and specifically for me, I had the hardest time with the roof sections. I think it would have been really cool to see 3 or 4 different varieties of destroyed roof options, just to explain this is all the options that you can use for these pieces, because I find I used up all of one type of piece really quickly and then realized I could have used it elsewhere in another way, but I hadn't figured that out yet. So it would have been really nice to see different wall sections, different roof sections, different floor sections, something like that, just so they could give the user a little bit more inspiration. I spent a long time scouring through Instagram, looking at other people's builds, seeing how they constructed them. And a lot of people have kind of just kit bashed these and glued different pieces wherever they fit just so it looks good, but it doesn't necessarily work in that spot. So the biggest con is lack of instructions. So the next pro I wanted to talk about is the detail. These kits have an insane level of brick texturing detail, as well as all the tiny little stonework, all the little trees, the little leaf symbols around all the architraves. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm such a big fan, and it really blows all their other terrain out of the water so far, especially when you compare it to the really old style Osgiliath kits they released in the early 2000s. So the next con I wanted to mention is the amount of sprues that you have to cut off these kits before you can even start using them. So in this kit, I probably spent just under 10 hours of cutting sprues. Obviously, you don't have to take that long. I was very picky, trying to get every mold line off one piece at a time, just combing over the whole thing and then organizing them into all these little divider boxes, and that was a huge job, which is a little bit daunting because I probably need 4 to 5 more of these boxes to build the board that I'm planning to build, and just the thought of having to go through all of that, but times 5, just almost feels like it's not worth it for me without assistance and getting some people to help. Another big pro about this kit is the playability. I absolutely love the options that they've given us in these kits to have walkways and bridges and stairways and all these different elements that you don't normally see on a traditional gaming board. These give you the option to have verticality. You can have ramps crossing from building to building, which I think is really cool. I'm going to try to implement as much of this as possible into my boards. Having the option of entering one building, crossing a bridge into another building makes it very, very interesting for gameplay. And obviously, the more that we do that, the more intricate the games can be. I really, really like that. So another thing I love about these kits is the amount of archway pieces that they provide, which really gives you a lot of options with playability and traveling through buildings. So instead of your traditional terrain where there's one doorway, and that makes a lot of bottleneck type situations where no one even wants to play inside the buildings, this is great where you can make huge undercover spaces with all these arches, connecting the buildings together, and then that just makes for much more interesting and dynamic gameplay. So I've tried with this building to have arches all around this veranda section, and I think that looks great. And then you can have models see through there and travel through there. Really, really cool. That leads me to a con about the playability side, and that is the staircases. So as much as they look amazing, and they've obviously had to do a lot of designing around making these stairs work, you cannot fit a model on the stairs. They just fall straight off. So they've clearly had to make the stairs the same width as the wall segments to make everything flow. You can't have the stairs a lot longer because it wouldn't work. If you have a huge stairway that goes up a tower, for example, you can't put models anywhere up that stairway, and that makes things a little bit lame. I like to try to build my boards with playability, so wherever you want to move, your model can sit on the board, and that's pretty important to me. So these stairs, you know, I like them, I don't like them. It's hard to say. So the stair situation would be my very last con, and it's really not the end of the world there. I'm not too bothered about it. I haven't had any situations where it ruins a game for me or anything. It's just a small little thing that you sit the model off to the side or you put a marker there. It's not a big deal. And that leads me into my overview for this entire kit. So overall, the one thing I would say is that it's going to take you a lot longer than you think to get the kit, de-sprue, design your buildings, and assemble them. It's a massive process. So I've only got one kit at the moment, and I'm already very intimidated for having to buy heaps more to build the board that I'm actually planning. So the price point comes in pretty steep. Here in Australia, I think I paid about $550 for the one box set, which is pretty expensive, to be honest. Is it worth it? I would say yes. The quality of terrain and the detail and the amount of variety you get with the kit is hands down amazing. So would I recommend you buy one of these box sets? I would say you're gonna need at least 2 to get enough options to build something crazy. And you're going to realize really soon that once you start building, you just want to keep going. You want to build something more elaborate, more detailed, bigger and bigger and bigger. You're going to need multiple kits. So to wrap things up, I'm going to answer the big question, is this kit actually worth the money? Yes, this kit is definitely worth all of the effort. If you have the patience and creativity to dive into something like this, be prepared that it's going to take a lot longer than you initially thought, but the end result is completely worth it. These kits are incredible from the design aspect to putting them together and playing on them. They are pretty much flawless. And that's all for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to see your Gondor building, so please comment your pros and cons list down below in the comment section, and feel free to send me any photos of your builds so they can inspire me for my next board. Please follow this space to see more epic Gondor terrain just like this here at Battle Games. And I'll see you guys in the next video. What's next? It makes it great. It's really cool. Don't even worry about it. Oh, fuck. This is a mailman. Leaning off to them. I don't know the words. Shut up. Alrighty. Why do I have to do the sound effects every time I do that? I can do better. I think that's it.